Lancelot versus Zoe.
Hello and welcome back to the Grindhouse. I am your proprietor, owner, and resident of Grindhouse, CD Lime, and today I just want to go over a recent experience I had. So I ended up entering an online tournament for the first time ever this past weekend. I was in Ronin Rumble 11 on the East Coast bracket. So personally, I haven't really ever entered online tournaments. It's not like I've never been super interested in them, but I've been lucky enough to have a local community that runs events frequently enough that I've never felt like I've needed to enter a lot of online stuff, especially with how netcode has been over the last little while for a lot of the games I like. It just really never made a lot of sense to me to enter those tournaments, so I just have never really gone through the experience of it. So this past weekend was really like an eye-opening kind of, I guess, to use the word again, experience of being able to actually go through the process and the steps of, what is it like entering an online tournament. For me personally, I've been to a handful of majors over the years, and those have taught me, like the flow of, okay, report for your pools, make sure that your bracket runner knows where you are, that sort of thing. There's a certain like energy and intensity, and there's always a level of like unsureness, but you're also trying to focus in on the game, and you have to wait minutes and minutes for your matches. It's a really interesting experience. So coming from that to an online space was a little bit jarring in the sense that it's just in how familiar it really felt. The way, if you haven't entered an online tournament before, I don't know if this is how necessarily all online tournaments run, but this is how RR ran theirs. We were in the Ronin Rumble Discord, and essentially there's just like this one Discord channel that is your bracket. You all get shuffled in there. There's a bracket runner who you can ping if you need to. But you're just essentially flagging people down, being like, hey, at such and such person, I'm your next opponent, you ready to go, that sort of thing. It was really neat because as much as the physical steps were very different, right? Like I'm not in a room with all these competitors. I'm not standing by the TO. It was still that very similar feeling of like, okay, who's my opponent? I gotta find my opponent. Okay, cool. Let's go find a spot here. Okay, all right. Let's make sure we're like getting the match and then reporting the match. And it was a really cool experience. Overall, I found it to be a really positive experience. I think the Ronin Rumble staff have a really good system set up in place. It felt very intuitive as a competitor to just kind of be there and get into matches. So if you are on the fence about online tournaments, especially with obviously frame delay concerns, I would say that will be a factor in it. It was a factor in one of my matches. It was kind of a bummer, but at the same time, I think the overall experience is still super worth it. I don't know how, again, this is my only first one, so I don't know necessarily how other tournaments handle it, but I know for Ronin Rumble, it was a free entry, so I didn't have to pay anything. I could enter pretty late in the day, like it was like, I think an hour before the tournament started is when the cutoff happened, and it goes relatively quick. I obviously didn't get super deep in the bracket, so I wasn't there for a couple hours waiting for matches to happen. I'm hoping next time I can go a little bit further, but it was still like the process felt very smooth. It felt like the communication was really solid, and it was a really overall enjoyable experience. So I can't recommend enough. Like if you know there's a Netplay tournament that is kind of happening in your region and you're thinking about entering it, do it. Even if you go 0-2, the experience that you can get from it is super, super worth it, and I cannot recommend it enough. Now, the other thing I really wanted to quickly touch on today was just kind of what did I learn from the tournament, right? So, obviously I had a great time, but did I learn anything of value to my gameplay? And the short answer is yes. The long answer is I went into the tournament kind of with a focus on trying to pay attention to opponents' habits. It's something I've been focusing a lot on with my matches and, player matches and ranked, recently is just being better about adapting to my opponent's behaviors and recognizing those behaviors and understanding, okay, cool, this is how I beat this is how I beat that sort of thing, right? And being able to do it on the fly in a really short amount of time. 2 out of 3 is not a long set, and it's going to go by really quick. So if you aren't paying attention and adapting as quick as you can, you'll get left in the dust so quick with short sets, right? So that was something I was really trying to focus on for this tournament, and I think overall I really succeeded with that. Like I said, I didn't go very far in the tournament. 1 and 2 is not a great score for me personally, but all my matches felt really close, and all the competition I had felt really. It felt like I was really challenging myself. I felt like I was really getting the most out of the experience, which was exactly what I wanted. For example, when I was in one of my matches, the last match I had there, I believe the player's handle was FGC Macho. Shout out to that guy. Really, really fun competition. I hope I can run into you bracket again. It was awesome. But one of the things I was noticing early on was that they were jumping out on out of the corner. I would leave a little bit of space to kind of try and react to see what they were doing, and 100% of the time I noticed early on at least. They were jumping and then jamming to try and catch me with the cross-up. I was like, okay, you're doing this, we're going to have to start doing 2H to, call out with an anti-air, and then that happened. And it's those kind of adaptations, right? That's not a big thing. That's not an impressive thing. That's honestly a pretty standard thing that most fighting game players at higher levels are going to be expected to do. But for me, it's something that I think if I've done it, it's been subconsciously, or it's been because the player I'm fighting is someone I've fought 100 times, so I know exactly what they're going to do when they're going to do it, right? There's just a familiarity that lends to my skill. Whereas in this case, right, that opponent was someone, maybe I've run into them a couple times on ranked, maybe, but I really don't know their tendencies, I don't know their habits, and whatever I'm implementing now is because I've recognized it in the last 2-3 minutes of this match, right? So that was something I'm really happy about that I was able to take away from the experience. Now, the other big takeaway for me was a lot of the things that I need to work on, right? So I was able to review my one stream match, and even just that alone showed so much to me. One, my pressure gets, when I'm nervous, I tend to default to auto combo 2 hits, so 5LL. That's not, that's okay sometimes with Lance because it leaves you in a neutral position, and if you think your opponent's respecting you can get away with a 2L or trying to extend pressure some other way. But if you're always defaulting to that and then pressing a button afterwards, your opponent's going to know to mash because that's free 100% of the time. It's neutral, but I'm still it's not always an advantageous position for me, right? So that was something that I kind of recognized. Okay, cool. I can't be auto confirming my block strings because it's just they're bad when I do that. If I autopilot that stuff, that's going to lead to mistakes. The other big thing I really noticed too was, and this is something I've known for a while, but it was something really reinforced by those matches, is that when I'm low on health, I tend to lose my cool really easily. That's not to say my emotional cool is lost. I feel like I'm pretty even keel, but my gameplay kind of goes off the rails. It hurts to watch still, but my one match on stream, it was final game, final round, and I blew it on a bad DP. I was in a disadvantaged position. Neokarsh just got the Deadly Rave Super, and put themselves in a position to really win the match. They were it was I had 10% health, they had maybe 30% health, 35% health. That said, with how Granblue is structured, that doesn't mean I'm out of it. If I get 1, maybe 2 good hits because I have my Super Skybound art at that point, that 3.5k is not a lot of health when you have those resources, and it was very realistic that I could have come away with the win there. But I got nervous, and I wanted to get that 3.5k. I just wanted to finish the match. I just wanted to be done and over with it, and I just wanted to get the quick win. So I did a DP. I did an XDP because I knew that's what I was starters. Maybe I could catch them being greedy on offense. Turns out, when you fight good players, vanilla aspect. And they did. They blocked, and that was it. So it was a really good moment to be like, okay, cool, I need to work on this. And so going forward, next week I plan to enter the Rumble. I believe they're going to be and that's kind of going to be my like zoomed in focus of interest. This entire week when I practice, I'm going to be thinking about, okay, when I'm low on life, how do I make sure that I'm successful? What do I need to do in game, or what do I need to do to my own mentality outside the game to make sure that I'm making the correct decisions at the most important times? Because I'm going to be in this I'm going to be in a tournament situation where I absolutely have to play it calm because I'm not allowed to make another mistake because I'm at, 10% health, 20% health, even 30% health.
Engage.
So it's I know it's going to come, and I know I need to prepare. And I'm really excited to kind of see how it goes in the bracket again next week. Like I said, the experience was a really good one for me, and I'm hoping that I can kind of keep this this momentum of learning up with those tournaments. So I'm really looking forward to it. If you guys are interested, I would super recommend hitting up them on Twitter. If you do search for Ronin Rumble, you'll find their account pretty easy. They're always posting about their events, and if you aren't necessarily in the area for Ronin Rumble, do a search on your local area. See if people are posting on Twitter about events happening. I think Netplay tournaments are rough because of Netplay delay, but that doesn't mean there isn't something valuable you could gain from participating in them. Especially if you go in with the mentality of, hey, look, there might be some issues, so if that happens, that happens. And you just kind of yeah, if you guys end up going to a tournament, do some online tournaments, or you have some similar experience, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear other people's experiences with this sort of stuff. I think that's the sort of information I'm looking for now as someone who's new to the online tournament scene. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and take care, guys. Have a good one.